Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. And then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it will all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars and the children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. When things all change, treat people the same. Stop with the violence, stop with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun. Sing a song of freedom like we are. One day,
one day, one day.
Shabbat shalom.
People ask me all the time, hey Brian, do you really use that keto elevate stuff, and does it really work? The answer is yes and yes. Never in my entire life have I lost body fat so quickly. Not even in my prime at 25, which is over 25 years ago. I'm approaching 54 this year. If you want to support the channel and do your health a favor, grab some with my link in the description. Let's talk just briefly about the Georgia Guidestones, because a huge deal was made about the Georgia Guidestones when they came down. I think it was on July. It was just a little after July 4th. It was somewhere around, I don't know, July 6th is when somebody that they didn't catch blew them up. Oh, they've got security to see the car rushing away with this little blurry black spot rushing by your screen, but they don't know who did it. And they didn't. There was supposed to be a time capsule under this thing that they put under the structure before they actually built it, but nobody mentioned anything about that time capsule. And by the way, does anybody know the date that the Georgia Guidestones were erected in Georgia over there? Anybody know? Real quick question for you. Was it in the year 2000? Was it in 2005? Was it in 1990? Well, if you look it up real quick, it was erected, according to this, the Georgia Guidestones. It's a granite monument that stood in Elbert County, Georgia, United States from 1980 to 2022. It was erected, it was opened in March 22nd, 1980. Does anybody know what happened 71 days after the Georgia Guidestones were erected in Elbert County, Georgia? Does anybody know what happened 71 days later? 71 days later, after the building of the Georgia Guidestones, on June 1st, 1980, CNN, the world's first 24-hour television news network, made its debut. Just 71 days after the Georgia Guidestones. And where is CNN's headquarters? In Atlanta, Georgia, about 109 miles from the Georgia Guidestones. Just real interesting, just interesting little piece of trivia right there. So you got March 22nd, 1980, and 71 days afterwards, CNN first went on the air, and I'm sure there's no correlation there, from the headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. The currently destroyed Guidestones were erected 109 miles northeast of CNN. The first commandment of the Guidestones, if you'll remember. Does anybody remember the first commandment of the Georgia Guidestones? Let me put this out there. I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it means nothing. The first commandment is, quote, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, which means, I mean, at least the implication is that while the human population is higher than 500 million, if it's higher than 500 million,
there's perpetual imbalance that somehow must be, according to the authors of the Guidestones, be corrected. So the question that remains is, who exactly is it that wants the correction? Who's going to do the correcting, and how is that correction going to be carried out? Because people keep talking about, and just recently, I think within the last week, Bill Maher was talking about, and I should have covered this. Bill Maher was talking about the human population. As a matter of fact, I think it's called Real Time with Bill Maher. If you don't mind me doing it real quick, put a 1 in the room if you want me to go over this. I wasn't planning on it. Real Time with Bill Maher. Let's see if we can look at, and I got to be careful how much I play on this because they'll put a copyright claim on it. Let me see if they still have it over here. Yeah, here we go. Real Time with Bill Maher. And they, they can do this under the guise of, oh, it's just a joke. We're just kidding. We don't want to depopulate the earth. And Bill Gates or Gil Bates can get up there on stage and say, well, if we do a real good job, we can eliminate 15% of the population through the vacations. It says new rule. Let the population collapse. Real Time with Bill Maher. Listen to some of the things that he said. I'm gonna be interrupting often because I can't. I think it's like a 9. If you go beyond 9 seconds, I don't know. I'll probably go a little bit beyond 9 seconds. But this does land under fair use YouTube if it happens to land on YouTube.
And finally, new rule, the recent report that informed us that in November of this year, the population of the Earth will hit 8 billion is not good news.
It's not good news that the population of the earth is going up. Now, I understand on the one hand why they say this, because there are a lot of people that are, even our friend Bacchus Mill calls useless eaters. There's a lot of people out there breathing the air, eating the food, destroying the planet into heavy pollution that are basically dead wood. They're not doing anybody any good. As a matter of fact, they're doing major destruction. So I understand the mindset of people saying, hey, maybe we should do something about the population. But in the minds of these elitists, you are a useless eater because you're not one of them. Now, you may be producing, and they want to keep some producers around, at least 500 million of them, right? Where is it? Where'd it go? Yeah, at least they at least want to keep 500 million around in perpetual balance with nature. Why? So that we can serve the needs of the elitists. But they're pretty upset that the population is pushing 8 billion. I don't know if that number's true. This is just what they say. I have no way to verify that. I don't know how they can actually say it. But let's say there was 8 billion people on the planet. Number one, that's not a whole lot of people. If you ever took an airline flight, a commercial airline flight over land, there are vast amounts of land that are not populated at all. This earth is huge. It's massive. I think I heard some people say, there's one statistic saying that all of the population of the earth can fit in like 5 of the largest counties in Texas. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there's 8 billion, but let's say there is 8 billion people on the earth. If they want to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, that would imply the elimination of 7.5 billion people. And how would they accomplish this objective? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how they would accomplish this objective. I have no idea. GMO foods, sea trails, the vacations, medical malpractice, big pharma products. I don't know. I don't know. That's just me spitballing. I don't know. Just my opinion.
And those who are regarded as such should be treated for TikTok brain. The Secretary General of the United Nations, of all people, said that welcoming our 8 billionth person was an occasion to celebrate our diversity. Yes, what a comfort that people of all races will be contributing to an already unsustainable carbon footprint and choking and starving equally.
Okay, so now what's he pushing there? And I totally get how people can say that. But one of the biggest lies of our age, and it's been going on and on and on, at least since the 1950s and 60s, is that there's this idea of global warming. There was global cooling. They changed it to climate change. My question is, if we're going to be really concerned about that, shouldn't we be more concerned about the Pentagon releasing the papers like Operation Popeye and admitting that they're actually involved in quote, weather warfare, weather modification, controlling the weather by 2025. Isn't that something that we should all be concerned with? We've got Gil Bates out there who issued a paper through, I can't remember what university it was, Harvard University or whatever, where he's concocted this idea and funded the idea of how can we block out the sun? When you block out the sun, what ends up dying? Oh, that's right. The things that need sun, like animals and plant life. If you block out the sun, then what are you doing to the plant life that tends to feed populations? You end up killing it off. Doesn't sound like a good idea for humans to get involved in blocking out the sun. What could possibly go wrong when Uncle Gil Bates is controlling the levels of power over there? All right, so that's just, I'm not going to play the rest of this. Well, just one more clip. He just keeps going on and on and on.
Have you seen what has been happening with the climate in recent years? Did you see England last week? England is pretty far north, but the runways are melting.
Like this has never happened before? This has never happened in the history of mankind before? This didn't happen when you were a kid? We didn't have heat waves? When they say it broke a record set back in 1954, well, were they talking about global warming back in 1954? No, they were actually talking about entering a new ice age. Remember, who was the guy who played Spock, Leonard Nimoy? Remember him getting up there? I don't know if it's a History Channel or if it was before the History Channel or whatever, but they were trying to scare the masses into this idea of we're about to end up in another ice age. They were talking about the globe cooling to such an extent where the ice in the Arctic was going to push its way south toward North America and completely engulf us in the next couple of hundred years. But now all of a sudden it's global warming. Oh, we got to do global warming. Well, if the sea levels are rising, why are the billionaires buying ocean front property on the east and west coast and in Hawaii? They're not too concerned about the sea levels rising if they're building their house at 3 feet above sea level.
Farmland is shrinking due to scorching temperatures and drought. 1 out of 4 people.
Yeah, that's the only reason farmland is shrinking, because of drought. And if there is a drought, and the U.S. military under Operation Popeye said that they could control the weather and actually extend the monsoon season in Vietnam for, in the favor and benefit of the U.S. troops, then why aren't they bringing those rains over these arid regions? Why aren't they bringing the rains over California so they can extinguish the fires or keep the fires from actually happening? Why aren't they steering the tornadoes and the hurricanes away from populated areas, or just keep them from forming in the first place? Why aren't they doing that? If they truly have this control that they say they have, why aren't they doing something about it? Makes you think. Well, if farmland is disappearing, then why is the biggest farmland owner, the biggest private farmland owner, Gil Bates, with, right now it's over 270,000 acres in the United States?
People on Earth is food insecure, what we used to call hungry.
You know what event causes food insecurity and starvation and famine? The greatest cause of that has been governments. Governments actually bring drought. Look what's going on in Nevada right now. Why is Lake Mead drying up? I wonder if they truly can control the weather. Why aren't they filling up Lake Mead?
With all the crazy stated plans of the Great Reset, the currency reset, and even the food reset, it's not a matter of if the store shelves are going to clear and there's a lack of food. The question is when. You need to get long-term storable food. It doesn't matter if it's from me or you just go to the store and you buy food. Just grab dry, storable food while you can. If you want to get it from me, you're going to support the channel and you're going to help yourself out, because my link has a discount code embedded within it. You can check that out in the description below.